Why have I got that so bright in the background? Nothing I can do about that. Sorry, YouTube. It's very bright. No, nothing I can do. Okay, where am I? Oh, I'm on Facebook. All right, Facebook and YouTube. Got one person on YouTube, just waiting for Facebook. Okay, people are coming in slowly but surely. This is one of my regularly scheduled lives. Sorry, YouTube. I know it's so bright over there. I don't know how to get rid of that. Don't want to change the angle. Oh, well. Okay. Okay, here I got my first question here on Facebook from Jana. When a consequence has been given and they ask for the toy that has been taken, do you just say no? Or do they say no because you were teasing earlier? Remember, 4-year-old with autism, high functioning, and a 2.5-year-old. I asked yesterday, but I don't think my question was clear. If they have autism, I'm sorry, but that's coaching. If they have, generally, I wouldn't remind them. But I don't know what to tell you. Autism is sort of more in the specialty category, so that's just strictly coaching. So I can't give you a really clear answer. My basic answer would be, no, I don't remind them why. Just say, no, you can't have it. And if they keep asking, just go like that. You can point to the board, but I only do that I'd only say no or point to the board once, really. Like, don't make a big deal out of it. Let them keep asking. They'll eventually learn. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky with autism because, they're all a little bit different, right? Can't generalize. Okay. Just waiting for questions. I did a live last night really late. I was so tired when I did it. But yeah, this is a good time for me. How do I help my 3-year-old overcome jealousy over a 16-month-old sister? They fight over everything and think it's a competition for mom's attention. Okay, have you taught them how to play well together? Like, do you play with them together? Nothing competitive? And you make the 3-year-old the hero to the 1.5-year-old. So try and make the 3-year-old, oh, can you please help her do that? Or him, whatever. They can't do that. So try and make the older one the hero and play with them. Show them how to play together. A lot of people are just always addressing the bad behavior rather than teaching them how to be good, right? So play with them and make the 3-year-old the hero. If possible. Not always possible. Like if they're just yelling at them and hitting them. But yeah, they usually like it. Oh, you're the big sister. Oh, you got to help her. Okay. By the way, check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. The boot camp course, I still have those weekly group coaching sessions going on. Last week's was really funny because there was this mom that turned up and she's just doing so well. I almost felt like saying, stop going on about how well you're doing, because everyone else was kind of like this. Then I pointed out, she might just have an easier kid too. That might be it. Or sometimes people just get it really quickly. Usually the people who have been watching me for the longest, they tend to sometimes do the best too. But it just struck, we were just laughing at that later on saying, oh, everyone else didn't look too happy. It was cute. But yeah, she's doing really well. What's the best way to work with 4-year-old that has a short temper and goes straight to aggression? He just stabbed his sister with a fork because she took his meatball. Yeah, check out the boot camp course. That might be for you. If they're getting really aggressive, you might want to up it. You can try the behavior board. That's completely free. But if you really want to set yourself up as a leader, that would be the boot camp course. That goes over 5 weeks, 3 to 12 years old. Yeah, you might want to work on that. You don't want him stabbing his sister. 3.5-year-old will only poop and pee on toilet if he is naked. If any sorts of pants, underwear, or diaper on, he will refuse to use toilet and fight a diaper. Any advice? Is that really a big deal? Like, let him be naked if he sits on the toilet. I wouldn't sweat that. He's only 3.5. He'll grow out of that. That wouldn't bother me. Yeah. I think it's just temporary. I found your page today, and man, it hit home. I feel like such a poop mom. Yeah, don't go down that path. There's no point. A lot of my clients, when they hire me, they go down the guilt path. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, don't bother. It's a waste of time worrying about the dumb things you did yesterday. To focus on the smart things you're going to do tomorrow. We've all got stuff like that in our life. Parenting came easy to me, but a whole bunch of stuff doesn't. So yeah, don't go down the guilt path. We're all learning at different levels, at different things at different levels, right? So yeah, don't go down the guilt path. It's just going to make things worse. I have a 4-year-old, 2-year-old, and a 3-month-old. How do I correct them fighting, screaming when I can't immediately get up and take toy or separate them? That I can't really help you with that, because that's one of the most frustrating things in my business. When I'm coaching someone and they're breastfeeding a newborn and they've got a toddler tearing around the house, what can I say? Physically, you have to be physical. You have to be able to get up and stop the fight. If you can't do that, I really can't help you, because words aren't going to work. They're about actions. If they're fighting and they're 4 and 3 years old, you have to get up. So what can I say? You kind of tied my hands with that one. This is from Jasmine on YouTube. I feel like my 2.5-year-old could do one rule on behavior board, but unsure what the consequences would be at that age. Any suggestions? And is it too general to put list to mom and dad? Too general to put list to mom and dad. I don't know what you mean by that. Too young. This really starts at 3. And even 3, a lot of them, they can get it, but it's a little bit tricky for them. So yeah, 2 is too little. I got someone going through the boot camp course right now, and they started last year at 2.5, and it didn't work. And now they realized it was just too young. So yeah, I'm very specific with listen to mom and dad. Oh yeah, that's ridiculous. No, you don't put listen to mom and dad as the rule. That is absolutely ridiculous. It's too bright. It's like saying be a perfect child. That's absolutely ridiculous. Could you imagine? Would be like your boss hire you. You go into a new job and they just say, do a good job. There's no instructions or anything. Just do a good job. Doing what? It's up to you to figure it out. You got to teach them step by step. There has to be like an operations manual with a job, and children need to be guided like step by step by step. So yeah, that ain't going to work at all. What's the difference between a Q&A and the boot camp course? This is a Q&A. The boot camp course has a whole bunch of written and videos and all that stuff. It takes you through 5 weeks of how to be a leader. It's, yeah, week by week, 5 weeks. It's action-based. I do the Q&As. They are, right now I'm doing the Q&A group coaching sessions with it. That's just a one-off right now. And that's every Saturday afternoon. But yeah, the boot camp course is a course that you go through step by step by step, week by week by week. The behavior board's used in the first 3 weeks. Week 4 is when we go off the behavior board. Everyone wants that week 4, but the behavior board is just a teaching tool. Like I would never use one. I've never used one. It's a tool to teach you how to start doing this. It just gets you organized. It just teaches you how to put down a rule and a consequence and follow through. I kind of don't. I'll read it out and I'll tell you why I'm kind of going like that. When my 16-month-old freaks out because she wants something, is there anything to do at the age to reinforce positive reinforcement? I don't do positive reinforcement. Besides, it's like praise. Praise doesn't do anything. Positive reinforcement doesn't do anything. Oh boy, I'm sure that a whole bunch of you are going, what? Some of my clients are child psychologists. We argue over that one. I always think I win. Maybe they think they win, but they've hired me, so they're going to get my advice. To reinforce positive reinforcement, besides giving her the dirty keys or dirty phone. Yeah, you just say no and let her process the fact that she just heard the word no, and that's okay. They have to learn how to process accepting the word no. If you interfere in that and try and stop their brain from processing hearing the word no, it's going to be worse and worse and worse down the road. No, you can't have this, and then let them have a fit. That's okay. Everyone's trying to avoid the fits, scenes, tantrums, and meltdowns. That's where the lessons are. Why would you avoid a lesson with your kid? Let them have a fit. They don't all have tantrums, by the way, but if they're that way inclined, let them have a tantrum. That's okay. That's them processing. Not everything can go my way. It's okay. The sooner they learn that, the better. With a 16-month-old, they're just on the cusp of a baby. I consider their babies up to about 15 months, toddlers at 16 months. That's sort of the way I do it. You might use a bit of diversion, but not with giving them something. Ooh, what's that out the window there? Ooh, a little bit of that. Not too much, though. Allow them to have a fit. It's okay. That's where the lessons are. If you're afraid of a fit, scene, tantrum, or meltdown, they're in charge, and they pick up on that. If you're afraid of that, they pick up on that. Yeah. I have a whole bunch of videos on tantrums, so how you address it. I have a mini course on tantrums too, if you're interested. Uh, bu- 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 bu. I don't know what you mean by that. It's a PDA question. I don't know what your question is. Bu- 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 bu. Okay, I just did the behavior board this evening. Do you make the child do the consequence over and over each day if they don't do the rule, or do you just check in at the end of the day and see if they did the rule or not, and then just do the consequence just once each day? Okay, good question. So let's say that the rule is no hitting, and the consequence is that they have to do a chore for 10 minutes or whatever. Okay, just an example. So they hit, they do a chore for 10 minutes. They hit again, they do another chore for 10 minutes. They hit, hit, hit. That was 4 hits. They have to do 4 chores. It doesn't go like that. They hit, and then they have a consequence. Then they hit again, another consequence. The third time, I would say this. So I'll tell you what, that's the third time that you've hit today. We're going to go straight to media blackout now. Do you understand? And then while they've got media blackout, they keep hitting. I would just say maybe once or twice. That's why you've got media blackout. So yeah, they're already in the consequence. Don't keep, yeah. Once they're in that media blackout, it's a free for all for them. They know they can get away with anything during that time, but they don't want to do it again. So short-term pain for long-term gain. What would your next steps be if the consequences aren't doing anything? Like if the child continues to do the same thing over and over? I think I just addressed that. There's usually something you can take away. There's always 2 consequences for the kids. The first one is the positive action. If they won't do that, then you do the negative deprivation. Or if they keep doing the same crime over and over and over again, then you go straight to the negative deprivation. Okay. But yeah, it's just you haven't found the negative deprivation consequence that works yet, right? Yeah, I can't help you with that. Every family is different. That's something that we do in coaching if you're interested, but I can't always take people on with coaching anyway. But you might want to check out the boot camp course. It's a bit more intensive. So it goes free behavior board, boot camp course, and then coaching. I always try and guide people into the boot camp course instead of coaching if they're 3 to 12 years old, unless you're dealing with something next level. Yeah, check out the boot camp course. It's got a whole bunch of stuff in there. Plus, now I'm doing those live Q&As within the course every Saturday afternoon. And you get to see the other parents going through it. It's such a good group. They have so many good questions, really. So because they're already going through the course. So their questions are educated, sort of like they've already seen the whole course usually, and then they're in level. I'm going through it with them. And yeah, you might want to check that out. Yeah, whatever you're going through, someone else is going through the same thing. Thousands of people are probably going through the same thing. It was funny because whenever I'm coaching parents and I'm just saying, yeah, I could copy and paste all your information into a whole bunch of other files of clients. Like, in other words, you're not alone. Everyone thinks that they're alone with all this stuff. You're not. It's just that people don't tend to open up and talk about it. Do you have recommendations on de-escalating an ADHD, ODD, or when they're in a mild rage? Okay, any kid. I don't care about the alphabet stuff. I call them alphabet kids when they have acronyms after their name. By the way, ODD is not a medical diagnosis. It was something invented to make moms feel better. It's not a thing. It just means you got a feisty kid. So anyway, yeah, you don't de-escalate a child. Let them go through it, and it's how you react to it. You want them to, or in other words, you don't. You want them to start reacting to you instead of you reacting to them. That's what parents make the biggest mistake. You're so busy reacting to all their bad behavior rather than just dealing with it like a business transaction and then let them react to your calmness. They're up here, they're going crazy. You stay calm. You don't go up there and meet them there. You wait, and they'll eventually learn and they'll meet you there. They will eventually calm down, but it takes time. They know the old you. When you were meeting them, they're going to get worse and worse and worse to get you back there again. But eventually, when you stay calm for over a period of about 3 or 4 weeks, you'll start to see they'll calm down too. So, and those are all the kids I worked with, ADHD kids. That's where I learned all this. People tend to treat ADHD like it's different. Like it's just, about 50% of kids seem to be diagnosed with it these days. It's just unbelievable. But yeah, it's no different. That's where I learned all this. My kids didn't have it, but all the kids I worked with seemed to have it. They were all, I called them alphabet kids. They all had a whole bunch of stuff after their names. Okay, we rarely use screens. This is Nikki on YouTube. Once or twice a week. What would you use as an alternative to 24-hour media blackout? So 24-hour media blackout is the second consequence. So if the kids won't do the first one, which is the positive action, it's harder to get them to do something. So they break a rule, then the consequence is they have to do a chore. If they won't do that, then you resort to the negative deprivation, so which is often 24-hour media blackout. If you don't use screens, a whole bunch of my clients don't use screens. So most do, but a whole bunch don't. Take away their Lego, something big, something that they love, something that they play with a lot, but nothing comforting. Like they generally don't sleep with Lego. You would never take something that they sleep, a teddy bear or anything that's loving, like, you know what I mean? That's nurturing. You don't take that away. But they've got to have something favorite that you can take away. If not, we often invent leverage. We figure something out. But anyway. 11-year-old tend to add things that are untrue to her story when asked how school went or she faced a bully at school. How do you make them tell the story as is? Oh, that's easy. What you do is you say, can you please tell me what happened, and make notes. And then what happened? And then what happened? And then what happened? An hour later say, can you please tell me that story again? If they're telling the truth, the truth never changes. If they're lying, they'll change the truth. And I would say, look, you know what? I'm suggesting you're maybe not telling the truth about this. So I'm going to put down the behavior board, no lying. I would actually do that. If your child tends to lie, I would put no lying. And then when you catch them in a lie, there's a consequence. Don't shame them for this though. Just say, yeah, you messed up. You tend to lie sometimes. We're going to fix that up. No shame in any of this. If you try and shame your children, people tend to go overboard. You shouldn't lie. You shouldn't lie because you do this. Lie. You shouldn't lie. They tend to focus on all that stuff. Don't do that. Say, yeah, lying's a bad thing. You shouldn't do it. Sometimes you do it. So no lying's on the board. Consequence is this. If I catch you in a lie, this is the consequence. And then that's it. There should be no shame attached to this. A lot of parents shame their children. They keep wanting to tell them what they're doing wrong and talk about it. These mini therapy session garbage things, I hate that. They don't need to go over and over and over and over and over again why they broke a rule. They do not need to do that. You deal with bad behavior, then you focus on the good kid. You want your children to like themselves. You don't want any shame attached to any of this stuff. But yeah, don't shame your children. You make mistakes too, by the way. You're not perfect either. So would you want someone shaming you for that? You shouldn't have parked over there. You shouldn't have done that. Another reason why you shouldn't have done it. Think about it. Wouldn't you be annoyed if someone did that to you? So don't shame your children. I just want to say thank you. A few weeks ago, I felt like I was failing dealing with my grandkids. You reminded me that they have parents, and that's where I needed to start, not with the kids. So I've been, okay, what happened was I don't teach grandparenting, aunting, uncling, or anything. I only teach parenting or whoever has custody. So I guess what I would have said was, don't interfere with the parents. It's, support them. So, because I'm a grandmother now, I would never criticize my kids' parenting. It's none of my business how they parent. But yeah, so what you're saying is you're supporting the parents more, which is what you want to do. I have 3 kids. My oldest is 10, and I find that he has a jealous nature because I asked him to do more things. Simple like picking up or helping random things. My middle 7-year-old is super aggressive and ADHD, so it's hard to ask him for help. He never does it or chooses to tell me reasons why he can't. My oldest has started to feel like a certain way. How can I implement being fair? Yeah, I agree with your oldest. I would apologize for that and make amends. Say we're going to start from scratch. Get the behavior board. Actually, check out the boot camp course. Get the behavior board started and make it fair and reasonable. And the fact that your 7-year-old is difficult, follow through anyway. What you're doing is you're taking the easy road, and your 11-year-old is the victim of that. So yeah, don't take the easy road with your 7-year-old. Yeah, apologize to your kid and make it up to him. Say, what can I do to make it up to you? How about we go somewhere? Go to what are they called? Arcade or something, one of those places. How do you address a 2-year-old that headbutts and bangs his head? Yeah, they do that stuff. Just physically restrain him every time he does that. The word no doesn't mean much. You can say no, but then physically restrain him just for a little bit. Let him go if he starts again. I have lots of clients who I've recommended they get a foam helmet. And every say, no, none of that, put a helmet on. And they tend to stop hitting their head on coffee tables, etc. They do not like that foam helmet put on their head. But it's better than a concussion, right? So that's when it's next level. My 2-year-old used to say please in other words, but all of a sudden he refuses to talk as much. What happened or what do I do? I don't have a clue. I don't know your situation. So yeah, just see if it sorts itself out. If you're really worried, go to a doctor. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know the situation. Behavior board, it really works. Keeping me accountable, and my 4-year-old is loving it. Thank you. Love your videos. Thank you. Okay, the behavior board just works. I've been doing it forever. It's just an accountability chart for the whole family. A lot of my clients have taken that to work and used it with their staff too. And they're the bosses on it too. That's what makes it work, right? Because leaders are accountable. Leaders are not dictators. We're not, that old-fashioned authority figure. That's not what this is all about. Leaders are different. Leaders are accountable. We're human. We're friends. We're good listeners. But we don't let anything go either. We guide children into making good choices. We bring out the best in children. We make them like themselves when they're with us. We don't want obedient little soldiers here. We want free-thinking, well-behaved, respectful children who like themselves, and respect us and everybody else. That's what we're after here. Can't wait to tell you what one of these clients of mine came up with. I haven't had my session with them yet. They sent me something, and I want to share it, but I have to ask their permission first. Even though I don't use names, it's very specific. So anyway, I can't wait to see this. I don't know when I'm seeing them, but yeah, it's something I really want to share with you. It's such a good one. Sometimes I get some great ideas from clients, right? Like they come up with stuff. I mean, I can't think of everything. And yeah, it's great. It's a good one. Tips for getting a 4-year-old to sleep in his own bed. He used to, then we went, okay. Check out my Bedtime Battles course. It goes from 2 to 8 years old. And there's 2 parts to it, how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. How to get them to bed is easy. How to keep them there is the hard part. It could be one night of sheer hell, but it's worth it. It's just one night of hell for, I always say you got to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. So yeah, everyone's trying to avoid all these scenes and difficult things. That's where you get where you want to go. That you got to go through the difficult stuff. Anything worthwhile is hard work, right? So you got to go through this stuff. Like whenever a kid, if I was working with a kid and they start getting really difficult with me, I'm like, oh, gold. I can exercise my leadership now. So the worse they are, the more opportunity I have to exercise my leadership. Yeah. So don't be afraid of the scenes. That's their process, and how to accept that they're not in charge anymore. How to stop a 3-year-old from biting. I actually have a course on that. Did it go up to 3? I can't remember. I labeled them age-wise very carefully, depending on what I wrote. Let me just check here. Oh, sugar. Why on earth is that? Oh, there we go. Just a second. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to see what age it goes to. Why on earth am I logged out of that? Sorry, it's just taking a minute here. Products. Okay, I'm just looking at my toddlers who hit. Oh no, it's only 1 and 2. Okay, stop a 3-year-old from biting. Okay, that makes sense. I was just going to check because I did not want to put 3-year-olds on my course. It's 1 and 2-year-olds hitting and biting. Once they hit 3, you put no biting on the behavior board. The behavior board starts at the age of 3, and if they bite, there's a consequence. Okay. Check it out. It's self-explanatory, the behavior board. If you want to go up a level, that's the boot camp course. We recently moved. My 4.5-year-old has been a different child since. He's so good at daycare that his teachers use him as an example for good behavior. I'm a single mom. Why is he all of a sudden so mean to me? Well, the fact that he's good at daycare, and I already know what's going on, but the fact that he's good at daycare is great. It means he knows how to be good. He just respects the teacher and he doesn't respect you. That's all it is. Work on your leadership skills. As soon as you're a leader, they respect you too. So that's what that says to me. So he knows how to be good, but the daycare lady would be, or man, whatever, would be a leader. That's the difference. Leadership skills are everything. They don't tend to respect you if you're not a leader. Why would they? You got to work for it. Leaders earn respect. It's not handed to you. You earn it. You work for that. I remember so many times people used to say to me, you're so lucky you got the easiest kids. I kind of resented that. I put the work in. Like I earned that. Like my kids and I were best friends. We just had a riot. But I earned that. You got to earn this stuff. It doesn't just get handed to you. You got to work for it. You only have to put in the work till they're about 3.5 or 4 when they're little. And then by that time they respect you. Then it's just maintenance. Getting respect is the hard part. Once you've got it, you go sail right through the teen years. Maintaining respect is easy. That's the same with housework. A lot of people comment on my house. Oh, how often do you clean? And I say, well, really, I don't clean a dirty house. I maintain a clean one. I didn't always try and get respect. I just maintained it with my kids. I'm into maintenance, right? Systems and routines and structure and consistency. It just works. And then once you're a leader and you've got that relationship solidified with your kids, you can mess up all the time, like you just do, because they know you know what to do. Like I wasn't really a strict mother. I had, they had to be nice. That was one thing. I definitely encouraged that. But it was like bedtime, you can stay up and watch that, and they would never argue. If I said go to bed early, they would have. So, you can, if they just respect you. It's just like there's none of this. It's just easy. You got to earn that, though. You got to work for it. You got to prove yourself. Okay, I'm going to scroll ahead because people come and go and I worry about answering a question and someone's already left. Can no arguing or no talking back go on the behavior board? Absolutely not. That's attitude based. That has nothing. They're arguing and talking back because you're not a leader. We're not fixing kids here. We're teaching parents. That says to me, you're not a leader. They don't respect you. You can't it's like putting down, you respect your parents. That's ludicrous. You haven't earned it. You got to work for that. Work for it. Check out the behavior board. You're on there too, by the way. You've got a rule and a consequence too. So yeah, you can't put stuff like that down. Is it going to work? You be good. Is that going to work? Think about it. Yeah, it's too much. You're trying to get off too easy. You got to work step by step. Start small. 4-year-old keeps getting in trouble at school, won't stop hitting. I don't know what's going on there. What do they like at home? Generally, if they're doing stuff bad at school, it means that you're not a leader at home. Leadership goes everywhere with them. They carry your leadership umbrella everywhere by that age. By 3 years and a half, 3.5 to 3 years and 9 months, they tend to carry your leadership umbrella everywhere. How they are with you at home tends to be how they treat everybody because they respect themselves. Therefore, they respect other people. Work on your leadership skills, okay? Everyone wants me to help them fix their kids. It has nothing to do with your kids. It's all you. Their behavior is a direct result of your parenting. They're just a reflection of your lack of leadership or leadership. That's all it is. It's not about them. They are just reacting to your parenting. Fix your parenting and the kids get easy. That's the way it is. Work on yourself, not your children. Work on yourself. Must have written that. I must have that written down somewhere better. Does that make sense? I'm trying to come up with a really good saying for that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to drill that home. The boot camp course is all about you and your leadership. Now, I know. I've worked with hundreds of kids, troubled teenagers, toddlers, everything. I managed to get respect with all of them. Was I fixing them or did I just walk in and know how to be a leader? I had them for like an hour and I got respect. What was that? Did I fix them? Or did I just know how to earn respect as a leader? Think about it. It's all you. It's all you. How can I get him to respect me? You don't get him to respect you. You act respectful and he will respect you. You're not getting your kids to do anything. Act a certain way and they will respond to you positively. It's not too late. Well, I don't know how old is he. I specialize in teenagers. So it's never too late. It's harder in the teen years. Absolutely. It's a lot harder because you've had 16 years to get where you are. It's not going to be 5 weeks. It's 3 to 6 months. Yeah, it's hard work. But yeah, it's not too late. It's never too late. Why would you give up? If they're still living with you and they're financially dependent upon you, it's never too late. It's harder though. Way more work. The older they get, the harder it gets. Does that make sense how it's all about you? Okay. I got to go to Instagram now. If you check out the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. I can't take everyone on with coaching anymore. I'm just so busy. But the boot camp course, I always try and steer everyone there. It's really intensive. It's 5 weeks long, but I start you out slow. So don't be scared of it. You start out slow because you're doing it on your own. Coaching is a little bit different because I'm there with you. But right now in the boot camp course, I'm actually doing group coaching every Saturday with everybody. It's just a one-off thing I'm doing over a period of 6 weeks. and you can check that out. Anyway, I got to go over to Instagram now. I'm on YouTube the whole time. That's where I save all of my lives. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Happy parenting. Okay, I'm just waiting for. Okay. This is Bombs Over Brooklyn. That's an interesting name. On YouTube, asked, our 2-year-old likes to hit, pinch, mostly her mom. Sometimes she does it when she's upset. Other times she does it randomly out of nowhere. Any advice? Check out my course. I have a course called Toddlers Who Bite and Hit. Toddlers Hitting and Biting, 1 and 2-year-olds. And yeah, check out that course. That is, if they bite and all that during a tantrum, that's the tantrum course. That's different. But if they just do it to get their own way, then that is the Toddlers Hitting and Biting course. So they're different. You deal with it differently. Okay, so I've got 139 people here now. Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions. If you want to check out the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. Yes, I still have those group coaching sessions going right now. And it's not an extra charge. It's in the boot camp course. It's just a one-off and every Saturday. Anyway, and then look into coaching. Can't take everyone on. I'm really busy these days, but you can look into it. If you're in crisis, write down crisis. And crisis is not my toddler's tantrums are driving me nuts. Crisis is usually teenage stuff, and it's the big stuff. Having a really hard time all of a sudden with 3-year-old continuing getting out of his bed. That's the Bedtime Battles course. You might want to check that one out. It's 2 parts, how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. Also, the reason why it just started is 3 is a fork in the road. When they hit 3, there's a fork in the road. And if you've been a leader, and if they know you're a leader, they get super easy at 3 because they stop and think before they act. That's why. If you're not a leader, they go the other way because they stop and think before they act. And they go, you're not a leader. I think I will be. So, or else they might just be easy kids, right? Anyway, but yeah, there's a fork in the road at 3. So that's why a lot of stuff starts at 3 because they can stop and think and they start to realize their power. They can actually think about it. My daughter always wants to know what she's going to get before she decides whether she will listen. What she's going to get? You mean you reward her for listening? Ooh, seriously? If that's the case, don't do that. You don't reward good behavior because then they think that they can be rotten if they're not getting a reward. See what I mean? Don't reward good behavior. So I'm going to skip ahead. I got a lot of questions here. How to teach an 18-month-old how to share it. You can't do that. They don't understand sharing. You can just teach them how not to grab stuff. You just say no when you give it back to the person they grabbed it off of. But they're not going to get it at 18 months old. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. There's nothing wrong with toddlers. It's just your understanding of them is usually off because they are, I'll read it. My top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is you set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is when you want to connect with a toddler, you do so in their world. You don't take them to the nail salon with you. You go to the park and roll down the hill. They start to look at you differently when you enter their world. Number 4 is you stop with the mini therapy sessions when you're disciplining a toddler. They're not about words, okay? They're about actions. You use consistent corrective actions to correct bad behavior. You do not discuss why they shouldn't hurt you, they shouldn't hurt someone else. That's just garbage. Those mini therapy sessions were invented about 30 years ago, and they were invented to make the mom feel good about herself. They have nothing to do with the toddler. Completely ridiculous. Number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got 1 marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. They're all feet, no brains. Cute as a button, but they're just not quite there yet, okay? Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years. For one of those years, you were a potato laying on a mattress. Like, come on, they're just forming. Don't try and figure them out. So this is more about managing them. Not about solving all these bad behaviors, but about managing them. The first 2 especially, child-proof your home, and then set up a toy rotation system. Those are 2 things to help you manage toddlers. Praying that your advocacy, I didn't know I was an advocate, will get bigger and more successful all the way from the Philippines with love. Thanks so much for that. Facebook's been a real surprise. I went on there about 5 months ago, I think. And 3 weeks ago, I hit 100,000. And in the last 3 weeks, I got 41,000 new followers, 141,000. Facebook's, I did not see that coming. I don't understand. I don't do it myself. Someone else does it. But yeah, Facebook's just growing like crazy. Instagram's been really good to me. And TikTok's my big platform. But yeah, they've all been really good to me. So I'm very grateful. I just put out what I've been working on for 52 years and people are getting results. So, and they're telling their friends, and I'm really appreciative of that because I really believe in what I do because I want you to be friends with your kids. I want you to raise respectful kids who can think for themselves, they can problem solve, they respect themselves, they have high self-esteem, and they respect you. They respect themselves and you. That's what I want. I want you to enjoy parenting. I want you to sail through it like I did. It's fun. When you get all that pesky discipline sorted out and get all that leadership stuff sorted out, then you can just relax and have fun. It's not work forever. It's just work to get you there. Once you're there, you just have to maintain it. So that's what I want for you. I want you to enjoy parenting as much as I did. I loved it. It was the most fun time of my whole life. I remember the school moms used to laugh at me because they said every time we see you and your kids driving by in your little blue RAV4, there was a cartoon out like this. They said, all we see is this. Like that cartoon with the head laughing. They said, you and your kids, why? You're always laughing and having fun. I said, yeah, I was. It was fun. That's what I want for you. We talk a lot about discipline here, but that's not what I'm all about. We're just getting this sorted. That's what people ask me. So that's why I talk about it so much. In coaching, it's not like that. I'm in control of coaching. You're more in control of the lives because I'm responding to your questions. But in coaching, I completely take over because I know where I want to take you. So I can play, and it's all focused on connecting with your kids. Discipline's a small part of it. Connecting with your kids is everything. It's everything. Remember the pool story? You must have heard that a million times. The pool story is the first video on my page here and on TikTok too. I don't know about Facebook. I don't know. But it's the pool. It's the example of leadership parenting, and it's my pool story. It's all about dealing with bad behavior, then focusing on the good kid, connecting with the kid. Wasn't even my kid, but it's a really good story for that. So yeah, I teach connecting more than anything. Discipline is a tiny part of everything I talk about. Okay, so I'm going to scroll ahead because people come and go. And okay, I find your videos helpful. I love how you just say it like it is. Are your courses available to people in the UK? I got people all over the world doing my stuff and even coaching. So it doesn't matter where you're from. You know what's interesting? Because I get people from all over the world, and I get countries. I don't want to say the countries. I think it was Saudi Arabia or something. And the father said, I like what you say, but he says, I can't be on the behavior board. The man is the head of the house and he can't be punished. And I have to respect that because I teach North American, I raise my kids in Australia, but I teach a certain style of parenting, but I've had to respect other cultures and learn. I've learned so much about the world and other cultures. One thing that most of them have that we don't have here in North America or Australia is the way they look after their elders. It's phenomenal. We don't do that as well. So I love that. I love the fact that I've learned so much about other countries just through coaching because you learn about the real people because they sort of tell me a lot. It's very personal. So I really get to know people in coaching. And, but yeah, other countries and there's countries I've never even heard of that I work with people. And yeah, it's been wonderful. I feel very grateful. My point with that story, though, is to say that even though I teach a certain way, it's still the same idea. You can still tweak a few things. If, let's say, you have a religion that doesn't agree with some of the stuff I say, or, you can still tweak it. The general idea is you deal with bad behavior and then you focus on connecting with your children. So you can do that in any culture, in any part of the world. You can do that. Deal with bad behavior, then focus on the good kid. Focus on connecting with them and enjoying them. If you're always talking about what you don't want them to do, what you're basically doing is focusing on what you don't like about them, right? So don't do that. Deal with it. Yeah, I didn't like that. That was stupid. That was bad. What you did was bad. It doesn't mean it's a bad kid. It's just what they did was stupid and bad and dumb, and they shouldn't have done it. Okay, big deal. Don't get caught up in all this politically correct stuff. Yeah, that was stupid. Okay, here's the consequence. Now, do you want to go to the park? See, kids don't take offense to that stuff. Parents do. Kids don't. They get it. But yeah, what I did was dumb, but I'm a great kid. You see, separate the bad behavior from the kid. You don't want the bad behavior to become their identity. You don't want them to feel any shame for being bad. You just want them to say, oh yeah, I did mess up, didn't I? Okay. You want them to be accountable for their mistakes. But making mistakes is part of being human. You don't want to shame them for that. You don't want to shame a child for being human, do you? They're going to make mistakes just like you did, just like you do. And that's okay. No shame. How to be a leader to a toddler. That's a slow burn. You can sort of get some leadership skills going in that they know one thing that you can do, but they don't really clue in till they're about 3. Every so often, they're generally going to be easier with you if you're a leader, but they're not really going to be super respectful until they're about 3, 3.5 maybe, because they can't stop and think before they act as easily. But they do learn from a very young age which parent says what they mean and mean what they say. So you can see it when they're really little even. You can see, like, my kids didn't squirm as much on the change table with me because they knew they were going to get changed. With their dad, there usually is a stronger leader. It's just the way it is. My mom was the leader. My dad was the pleaser. Doesn't mean they love you more. It's just that they know they can get away with a bit more with one parent. They learn this from a really little age, even babies. Our kids would squirm more with their dad on the change table because he might say, okay, how about if we get this toy? He was always trying to negotiate with. Whereas I'd just say, you're getting changed and you're getting changed now. And I just did it. So it kind of starts when they're little, but it doesn't really show in a huge way until they're about 3. Transitioning from co-sleeping, any tips? I have a bedtime battles course if you're interested. It's how to get them in bed and how to keep them there. Getting them in bed is easy. Keeping them there is the challenge. It's usually one night of sheer hell. It's ugly, but it's worth it. Okay, how to connect with this 27-month-old, some asked. I didn't read the whole question. Sorry, I scrolled through too quickly. How do you connect with a toddler? You watch how they play and you join in. Enter their world. I said that in my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Enter their world to connect with them. You don't go to the nail salon with a toddler. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. Basically, you enter their world. You can change a few things once you're in it, but you watch what they're doing and you join in. Then you can say, oh, how about we do this? But you're already in their world. They start to look at you differently. If they feel like you, I don't know, it's just a different thing. Also, parents tend to overpraise and underplay. There's nothing wrong with praise, but kids don't care about it. They just don't give a hoot about praise. You're wonderful. You're smart. You're special. Yeah, I love you more than life itself. You're just so wonderful. I'm going to go do the dishes now. You walk away. This is your kid. What did that do for them? It did a lot for you. It's for you, by the way. Now you look at the difference. You say to a kid, the same kid, you say, hey, what are you doing? Can I play too? Look at the difference. They're like this. Their love language is play, is fun, is connecting, and in their world. Look at the difference. Praise is for you. Play is for them. Parents feel great about themselves when they praise their children. Look at the kid. Watch the kid. What does it do for them? Not much. It's okay. I'm not saying don't do it, but don't do it instead of playing with them. Advice for media blackout alternative when you don't do screens Sunday night to Friday. There's got to be something you can take away. It's got to be something that they like and they play with every day that you can take away. If not, you probably have to hire me for that. We'd have to investigate and we invent leverage. We figure something out. That can be tricky. I do get clients who don't use any media. It's like when parents say they don't yell and when they say they don't use the screens. I'm like almost lost in coaching. Like, really? I'm like, what do I do with these people? Because everyone most parents yell, and most kids have screens. So, but then we have to get more creative and figure stuff out, right? So, yeah, just take something away it has to be something they use every day. You never yelled at your kids, but did they ever yell at you? No. Yellers raise yellers. Like I never yelled at my parents. They never yelled at me. It's a learned behavior. They tend to yell at you if you yell. So yeah, I was never yelled at, and my kids never yelled. I never yelled at my kids, and I never yelled at my parents, and my kids never yelled at me. Yeah, it's a learned behavior. Oh, and my son had a tantrum when he was a toddler. Yeah, he would yell, but not at me, just screaming because he wasn't getting his own way. That's when they're in the crazy zone, right? They're either going to have tantrums or they're not. They're born. It's a temperament you're born with. That's what it's a temperament. So yeah, and then they learn how to handle it. How about if the toddler's autistic? That's a specialty. I only discuss autism in coaching. So I don't discuss it in here. I can't generalize with autism because they're all so different. I get asked this a lot. Is there a way to stop yelling as an adult? Well, it works if you stop yelling. But put it on the board, and then you get a consequence if you yell. So every time you yell, the kids get something fun. You play with them or something. But yeah, you're asking me how to control yourself. I can't help you with that. Like everyone asks me that. How do I calm down, stop yelling? I don't know. You're gonna have to figure that out. It's like if you go to a diet center and they tell you exactly how to eat, how to exercise, and then you say to them, but how do I not be hungry? Well, you're going to be hungry if you're losing weight because that's your body eating off its fat, right? So it's part of it. You're just going to have to fake it till you make it, knowing that in the end it's going to be worthwhile. I can't help you control yourself. That's your job. I can tell you how to deal with your children and what to do and how to act, but your own emotions, I can't control your emotions. So I was told not to play with the kids and they have to play in their own world. Who the heck told you that? Wouldn't have been me. So do we not praise for good behavior? No. That was my baseline expectation. I didn't praise for good behavior because if you praise for good behavior, you know what you're saying to your kids? God, I can't believe you were good. I just knew my kids. They were great. They got praised everywhere they went. Why do you need to praise for good behavior? That should be the baseline. You're telling your kids that you're normally rotten, but don't treat good behavior as if it's something to be praised. I don't understand that. I don't know why you do that. Why would you praise good behavior? I don't understand that. I really am confused by that. My son was in grade 2 and his teacher phoned me on our lunch hour and she goes, I have to tell you this, it was so cute. She said to my son, why are you so nice? And he looked up at her and he said, Mommy makes us be nice. He was proud of himself, but yeah, I made him be nice. That was just my expectation. But you know what does excite them? What is a reward for good behavior is playing with them all the time, having fun with them, laughing with them. That's what they want. The praise is so overrated. It's for you. It's not for your children. It's for you. Makes you feel good about you. It's not for your children. It's okay, but it doesn't do it for them. My kids knew they were treasured, knew they were wonderful because we played all the time. We had fun. I never had to discipline them because we had mutual respect. And we had fun. We had a crazy loud household. It was fun because I didn't have to discipline. They were never rude or anything. Are raging tantrums in a 4-year-old a concern developmentally? I don't know about that. I can't comment on that. That's a psychological thing. Like what I mean is that's for a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I can't answer that. But I've worked with hundreds of kids, and usually by the age of 4, tantrums are stopping because they learn how to control themselves. If they have a leader, if they don't have a leader as a parent, they're more unstable and they tend to have tantrums for years. So work on your leadership skills. That's a reflection of your parenting usually, but if you're really concerned there's something wrong with your child, like anxiety and all that, I can't help you with that because I can't diagnose that. But I do know when you're a leader, children tend to calm down. It makes them feel safe. Leadership makes them feel safe. Okay, good question. If you're not currently a leader, but start to become a leader, how long until you see results with your children? Depends on the age, but generally it's 3 to 5 weeks that you'll start to see results. With teenagers, it's often 3 to 6 months. But you can do the groundwork and you'll start to see snippets of it with teenagers. But yeah, it depends on the age, 3 to 5 weeks, 3 to 6 weeks around there, or 3 to 6 months as they get older. Although I do get some clients who get results in the first week that last. I always say that's just a honeymoon week, but sometimes they get, because the kids just get on board right away. Sometimes that happens, especially little kids. They're the ones who are going over to the board and correcting their parents all the time. They like that. They like the structure. They like the routine. It suits their personality. They just lean right into it. And so some kids, you get results right away. Usually 3 to 6 weeks, 3 to 5 weeks. Okay. Well, 2-year-old keeps dumping our dog's water. How to stop it? Well, my first tip for parenting toddlers is childproof your home so you never have to say no. Just have it so that the child can't get access to it. That's like leaving the toilet, the room open to the toilet room. We used to have a water closet in Australia. The toilet's in its own little room, so we call it the toilet. I remember when I lived there, I was there for 20 years. I remember saying, I will never use the word toilet. Sure enough, I ended up using the word toilet. So yeah, that door was just always closed. So I had friends who didn't want to close the door. They wanted their kids to learn, and their kids would be brushing their teeth with the toilet brush. So yeah, I just childproof my home. So yeah, have the water somewhere where only the dog can get to it, or you just, I don't know, but I wouldn't allow them to have access. Can't really teach a 2-year-old to stay out of water. That's fun stuff, right? Your expectations are unreasonable. My kids are raised with animals, so there's no way they would have stayed out of water. What I did used to do is we had the water was always outside in a bucket. They'd be in. I always made sure it was super clean because the kids were always in there. If you stop yelling, will the child learn to stop as well after 4, or is the damage done? No, I'm not going to go there. I don't know about damage and all that. But yeah, generally, if you stop yelling, they will too. But you do it first, and then they'll follow after. So everyone expects, well, today I stopped yelling, and they're still yelling. They might yell for another 3 or 6 weeks, but eventually they'll stop too. So they don't trust you. When you change who you are as a parent, they remember the old you. They're waiting for the old you to come back. But after a few weeks, they'll realize this is the new you. So yeah, you stop yelling first, then eventually they will too. Doing boot camp week 2, media blackout on both boards. What to do if media blackout has started in the first board and then 3-year-old doesn't behave? Oh, just say, well, that's why you've got media blackout. If they're already in media blackout and they keep committing the crime or even a different crime on a different board, just say, that's why you've got media blackout. Yeah, don't get too complicated with that. A lot of parents want to sort of follow it to a T, but once they're already in media blackout, you don't punish again. They're already in it. Say, well, that's why you have media blackout, because you can't double it. Very rarely, maybe once or twice a year, I'll double it with a client. And they have to be 9 years old and over, and it's very rare I'll do that. Because then you got 2 days of no leverage, nothing you can do, right? Also, I think it's kind of mean, but that is if they are really coming at you hard and prolonged, then I might double it. But it's very, very specific way of doing that. And so I hope you're turning up to those boot camp, those live. I've got live group coaching right now in the boot camp course. And I hope you turn up to that. Who was that? What was your name? I don't recognize you. If you were there last week, we're still talking about this. There was a mom that came on. She's week 2. She's just killing it. She just gets it all. And it was really funny because the person who works with me was saying, wasn't that great? Wasn't that great? I was just watching all the other parents and they were all like, how come she's doing so great and we're still struggling? Every so often you'll get someone who's just soaring with all this stuff. They just get it. It's usually someone who's been watching my videos the longest or doing the lives the longest. But it was just so funny because my person who works with me was focused on the person who's doing so well, and I was watching everybody else. Everyone goes at different levels, right? Some people get really quick results, other people get slower. Plus, I also mentioned during that coaching session, I also mentioned that they might just have easier kids too. I didn't want to make her feel bad, but I just felt so bad for all these other parents. It's like if you go to Weight Watchers and you get one person who's like, I've lost 20 pounds in the last week, and you're all sitting there. It's funny. Advice for hypotonic, I don't even know what that is. Hypotonic kids with impulse control issues. I'm going to look that up for a second. Is that a medical thing or just a behavioral thing? I'm going to look it up. Hypotonic. Never heard of it. Having a lower, that's muscle. That's medical stuff. I wouldn't have a clue. Is that a medical thing? I wouldn't have a clue. Is it just a physical thing? Anyway, that would be more coaching. And remember, I teach parent-child relationships. It doesn't matter what the diagnosis is of the kids or the parents. I just work whatever I'm given, and I work on your relationship. So, but that would be coaching. If it's something medical, that would be coaching. I don't discuss religion on here. Oh, you're talking about someone else who teaches parenting. I don't critique other people. I don't know what they say. I do critique what's out there, but I don't know anybody who's teaching anything. I've never read a book on parenting or kids. I don't know any other parenting expert out there. Not one. I've never looked it up and I never will. Because I teach through my own experience. Plus, I'm not stupid. It's like talking about religion as if you're the only one. There's probably lots of different ways out there. But if you're coming on my page, I will tell you my opinions of everything. But I'm not going to critique any person. I've been asked to do those panels where you're discussing different parenting methods. I'm not going to sit there and critique other people's parenting methods. I think that's kind of yucky. And I got nothing to prove, so why would I do that? It's just not something I'm into. It would be like discussing, arguing your religion. It's, this is just what works for me. This is my opinion, my experience. That's it. Okay. Toddler says, I don't want you to be my mom. Yeah, when they're mad, they're going to say stuff like that. Just go, whatever. Do you really believe in easier kids? I have 2 kids. One was born more normal. He had tantrums. That's kind of normal too for some kids. My daughter was probably the easiest kid I've ever dealt with. Just born easy. She's still got a very even temperament. Never had a tantrum. Always, very rarely ever cried. So yeah, the only thing I really take credit with her was that I gave her a lot of confidence. She was very much a glommy mommy's girl. I didn't allow that. I still forced her to get out there and do stuff. And then she's a very confident woman now. She knows who she is. But that's all I had to work with her, was just to make sure that she wasn't glued to me all the time. And funny thing is, we go to the gym every day together. We're best friends. We talk every day. But yeah, I think I'm more glued to her now. But yeah, there's easier kids. Of course, there's easier people out there. There's feistier people, adults. So everyone has a different personality, right? And my son was great. God, he was funny and fun. He was a riot. I wouldn't trade either one of them. But he definitely needed some discipline. She didn't need any. I don't teach from my own personal experience with my own kids much, because I'd already kind of figured this out before I had them. It's all those other hundreds of kids I worked with. Those are the ones that really tested me, because they were the ones that really had challenges, right? And they're the ones I learned. What I teach, I learned mostly from other people's kids. Oops. Okay, I'm going to have to go soon. Oh, I hate it when I'm late. Is it bad if my son is glued to me? Yeah, my daughter was like that. So I just sort of I forced her to go out and do things. Like when we went to the gym, I went to the gym every day. As soon as she was up on her feet, I went to the gym every day and put her in the gym daycare. She didn't like it, but she wasn't a crier. She would just sort of be sad. And then she eventually learned to kind of enjoy it. My son loved it. He would go to the gym daycare. That was his social. He didn't even want to come out. He would have a fit whenever we had to leave. But my daughter was always thrilled to see mom, because she was glued to me all the time, right? So, but yeah, I just made sure. I said, you're okay. You'll have fun. So I didn't encourage that. So yeah. Oh God, you're going to hate me, but I have to say it. Toddler loses ability to use words when frustrated. How can I help her regulate and help her to use her words? You don't. You let her be who she is. Oh, should I even say it? You know that saying, use your words. I think it's so patronizing to say that to a toddler. Use your words. In other words, be more like me. Don't have a fit. Be more like me. Find your inner adult. Just let them be toddlers. Their words, their language is losing it. That is their language. Don't expect a toddler to find their inner adult, and don't do those mini therapy sessions discussing all their feelings, all their big emotions, all their anger. That's ridiculous. That's for you. That's not for your toddler. They do not need therapy sessions. And their words are losing it. Do you have a course on how to be a leader? If you've got a 3 to a 12-year-old, that is my boot camp course. It's 5 weeks long, and I've got the group coaching sessions live every Saturday right now. It's just kind of a special thing I got going. It's just for now. Anyway, time is it? Ooh, I gotta go. I gotta go over to TikTok now. Check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course at 3 to 12-year-old. And that's all about you and your leadership. And you can also look into coaching. I can't take everyone on these days because my schedule is pretty packed. but you can look into it. If you're in crisis with your kids, put crisis in the subject line in an email. And I'm sorry, I don't even see any of the comments or messages anymore on these social media platforms anymore. I just can't. There's just too many of them. Well, hopefully one day I'll figure out a system, a way to get into them. But if you really need to get a hold of me, it's email. The only place I answer general parenting questions is during the lives, though. Okay, thanks so much for joining me. I'm hopping over to TikTok now, and I'm on YouTube the whole time.
The Sephora savings event is here. I know you don't.
Sorry, TikTok starts with ads right away now. I can't disable that. As soon as you turn TikTok on, it starts with an ad now. Didn't used to do that. And that's fair enough. They got to make money, right? Got to make more money, I mean. TikTok doesn't pay anything. I live in Canada. I've got like a lot of viewers, and you make no money on TikTok. Not that I'm saying I should. Hello, I am. How's parenting? I am is a regular on here, and she just had a baby, her first one. Okay. This is my last of the 3 lives. I do Facebook, Instagram, then TikTok. And I am on YouTube the whole time. So that's where all my lives are saved. So if you want to go back and look at a live, that's where they all are. This is my biggest platform. And then Instagram. But Instagram and TikTok are pretty busy lives. Facebook's picking up a lot now too. But this is a pretty busy live usually. Okay. You're going to hate my answer. Almost a month old. Excellent. Congratulations. She's my best little friend, but I'm so, yeah. Sleep deprivation with a new baby is, I would say, the hardest part. It's the only thing I really found difficult was the sleep deprivation with a new baby. Not the second time round, you're used to it, but the first time round, you just can't believe this. Like, you're just so tired all the time. It's just a big part. It's just part of it, part of the joy. Okay. I work at a daycare with kids from 5 to 11. How do I combat parents who are not leaders? I wouldn't know anything about that. I don't teach daycare. So I just teach parenting. So yeah, I haven't got a clue. Have not got a clue. How do you tell other people how to parent their kids when they're not soliciting your advice? I never do it. I would never give parenting advice unless someone solicited it. If they ask me, I'll answer. But even then, I'm kind of careful in my personal life, especially. I don't talk about it. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't teach daycaring. Can you talk about negotiating with teenagers? Yeah. Teenagers are my favorite age. I started my business doing teen crisis work. So, okay. These are my top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1 is you listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway. Okay. When you get really good at, I call it silent listening, you use these instead of that, they'll start telling you everything. And anyway, the second one is negotiate pretty much everything. We'll get into that. And then the last one is don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. Don't micromanage them. Allow them to make mistakes. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to be human, just like you are. Okay? It's okay to make mistakes. Okay, negotiate pretty much everything with teenagers. This is the question. How do you do that? My example is always, hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? But I would get the behavior board up there and I would say, okay, here we got this new behavior board. Call it an accountability chart or something. Say, I want to be a better parent for you. Do not say this is for you. Say, I want to be a better parent. I'm trying to get more organized. So here I've got a rule and a consequence for everybody. Keep it non-personal with teenagers. It's never something about their attitude, their personality, or anything like that. It's always something about a chore or something that you want them to do usually. Or like put their shoes away when they come in the door. Make it something very impersonal, but something that happens frequently, but not anything contentious. And then you say, okay, from now on, I want your shoes in the cubby when you come in. Okay, what do you want for me? And they might say, well, if you come at them fairly, it's amazing how respectful they often are. They go, oh, really? How about, I don't know what they'd come up with. How about you quit asking me what I'm feeling all the time? They often will, boys especially, quit asking me how my day was. Don't ask me how my day was every day. If I want to tell you, I'll tell you. So something like that. And then say, okay, quit asking what you did. See, ask them, get them to open up, because you've got to give them a say. You've got to get, like my kids, if I messed up or if they didn't like something about me, I heard all about it. They had a voice, believe me, but they were respectful. They were never mean about it. They were very respectful. One thing that they didn't like was they didn't like the fact that I say the same joke over and over again. I have very childlike, repetitive humor. And if I think something's funny, I bring it up year after year. I'm just stupid that way. They say, Mom, come on, we heard that. How many times have we heard that? So I'm still giggling over it. So that annoyed them. I was very repetitive with humor. I'm very childlike in a lot of ways. And yeah, that annoyed them. And believe me, I heard about it. So yeah, give them a voice. Yeah, and be fun. Don't be so serious about everything with teenagers. Try and find those moments when you can just laugh with them. How do you bond with a teenager? Did you want to know that one too? It's one of my favorite ones. Anyway, if you're interested, let me know. Oh, okay. How to deal with jealousy and acting out after bringing new baby home. How much grace should I give? You never give any grace for acting out, but understand it's going to happen. And you just don't make it a big deal. Every time they act out, you still would address it with consistent corrective actions, not words. So if they throw something, you say no and you put it away, no and you put it away. But when you're breastfeeding, try and make that time to read to them. Okay, breastfeeding is a time to read to your toddler. You can bring their toys over to you and sit down on the floor and breastfeed or whatever while you're doing that. I was lucky. Both my kids fed like 3 minutes on each side. It was really weird. Maybe my milk let down quick or something. I don't know, but they both gulped down 3 minutes each, especially my son. God, they were super fast eaters. So I wasn't stuck breastfeeding for that long, but that can really cause a lot of problems with a toddler because you're just sort of, you're trapped. You can't play with them. But yeah, bring some toys over, bring books over when you're breastfeeding and read to them. But generally it's a transition period and it's just not going to be easy. Don't expect it to be. Don't expect a toddler to ever be reasonable. That's an unreasonable expectation. Okay. How to instill self-love in teenagers? That's too big of a question. Like there could be a million things going on. How's their social life? How's your relationship with them? How are they doing in school? What kind of, it's just too many variables there. I don't know. There's no easy answer. All you really got, the only power that you have with a teenager is your relationship with them. So work on that. And if they have a really good relationship with their parents, they usually can ride anything out. If they've got a safe place to land, a parent that they can tell anything to, they can usually ride anything out. Okay? I told my mom everything. My kids told me everything. We were safe places to land. And that kind of carries them through life, like teenage years, right? 5-year-old son suddenly, he said winning, I'm assuming you meant whining, and being overly emotional. This is fairly new thoughts. I don't know. Maybe something happened at school that upset them. I don't know. So if it's a sudden new behavior, like something like that, all of a sudden starting to whine and being overly emotional, that says to me something's happened. Don't worry. It might not be anything huge, just something that's upset them. Yeah, I don't know. It's 5 years old. They don't usually start that unless something's upset them. At 3 years old, they can start that with nothing being upsetting to them. They just start trying different things at 3. But at 5, not so much. Something would have happened. I'm assuming. Could be wrong. I don't think so, but I could be wrong. So I'm just reading on YouTube. Okay, I'm going to read this out because I think a lot of people probably would come up against this. 6-year-old got very angry during positive consequence. That's on my behavior board. It's completely free above in the link. And the behavior board has 2 consequences for the kids. If they break a rule, they do a positive consequence. So they have to do something like a good deed, like a chore or something. If they won't do that, then you do the negative deprivation consequence. So you take something away, like media blackout for 24 hours. But it's all their choice. If they didn't break the rule in the first place, they wouldn't have to do the first consequence. If they did the first consequence, they wouldn't have to do the media blackout. You see, it's all, I always used to say to my kids, if you're good, life is good. If you're bad, life ain't so good. I'll make sure of it because I'm your mom and that's my job. In other words, I'm going to make you accountable. So anyway, what's happened here is 6-year-old got very angry during positive consequence. So I warned him for the media blackout, but he didn't calm down. I gave him the media blackout. We were staying with family. But he was out of control and got angry, but did he do the positive consequence? It doesn't matter. You never punish for anger. Did he do you still got to let him do the positive consequence. You have to allow them to get upset and angry. I could care less. Like I would say, okay, you have to, you broke the rule. Now you don't say positive consequence, but you say your consequence is that you have to wash a window within 15 minutes of being asked to do so. So here's the Windex, here's the rag, and 15 minutes starts now. This is me. You're like this. You're just a timekeeper. You're just waiting. Don't talk about it. Don't say anything. They may be angry as anything. I might look at them like this, and I'm just looking at my watch. Okay, they got 15 minutes. Beep, beep, 15 minutes is up. Say, okay, come to the board. So you didn't wash the window within 15 minutes. So now media blackout starts now. Do you understand? And then make it happen. Their anger, allow them to have that. Allow them to process this. Allow them to get mad and upset. They're going to be mad and upset because they remember the old you who didn't do stuff like this. So they're going to try and get their control back from you. Don't let them do that. Don't let that upset you. It's okay that they get upset. Being angry is not a crime. It's them processing all of this. So yeah, I don't know if you did allow them to do the positive consequence or if you just did media blackout because they got angry. Either way, I wanted to address that just in case. Yeah, you never punish a kid for being mad or angry. Is it okay to ignore questions that have been answered but they didn't like the answer? It depends. If they're 3 and over, they can understand this. And I would say, I've already answered that question. I'm not going to answer it again. And then if they keep asking, I'd just go, I wouldn't even talk. But don't get on your phone. Parents tend to do this. They ignore their kids by looking at their phone. I think that's rude. There's something about it. It's very dismissive. So if they keep at you, I would be washing the dishes or something. I would be ignoring them, but I'd be like doing a chore. So that you want them to know that you are kind of listening, but you're purposely not addressing what they're saying because it's ridiculous, right? You've already answered them. They're being ridiculous. But don't pick up your phone. I think that's dismissive. And don't get into a conversation with someone. I think that's dismissive and rude. There's different ways to ignore. You're just choosing not to re-answer the same question again. That's different than completely ignoring and using your phone. Does that make sense? No one asked me about how to connect with a teenager. I was surprised at that. Just means that don't have any parents of teenagers on here. My teenagers are my favorite age. That's my specialty. I started my business 17 years ago, and I did teen crisis work. It was heavy, and that's pretty much all I did. And I still do it, but I don't lead with that anymore. I would rather prevent that. So, yeah. Teens are my favorite age because they're so developed. They're so smart. You can actually have these great conversations with them when you have a good relationship with them. If you don't, it's a disaster. But if you have a good relationship with a teenager, they are the best. They're fun. They're funny. They're smart. They're developed. They're just the best. Definitely my favorite age is teenagers. My 3-year-old has started to copy everything I say. Well, if my 3-year-old did that, so everything you say, so say, oh, you shouldn't, I'm going to go shopping now. I'm going to go shopping now. Oh, my mom's the most wonderful person in the whole world. My mom's the most wonderful. Oh, like I would use that against them. I'd use humor with that. And if they're really being rude about it, just ignore it. I have a teenage niece. I'd be interested. Well, I don't teach that. I only teach parenting. I don't teach niecing or, you know what I mean? It's just different. Parenting, the parent relationship is different from any other relationship. I had nephews. I saw a lot of them when they were little. It's very different. I was very aware that I was the aunt. I was not the mother. It's very different. Do your tips apply to high needs ADHD, ODD, OCD kiddos? Son is 6. Feel like everything is about the relationship with the kids. So yeah. And by the way, ODD is not a medical diagnosis. It's something that was made up to make moms feel better, to eliminate some of their guilt. Just means you got feisty kids that you can't handle. That's all that means. That's what doctors have told me. ADHD, I learned all this stuff with kids with ADHD. And OCD, that's a different thing. OCD, I do have some experience with that. But how old did you say? High needs 6-year-old with OCD. Yeah, they can be diagnosed at a very young age with OCD. So yeah, I teach that. But OCD would be more coaching, and even that, I would suggest a specialist for that. That they always do that. What's that called? I always want to call it aversion therapy, but it's not. It's immersion therapy. So yeah, it's like if you're afraid of flying, they make you fly. Stuff like that. Anyway, so yeah, that all applies. But ODD is not a diagnosis. It's just something made up. That's what all the doctors have told me. How do I make sure I have a good relationship with my daughter by the time she's a teen? Work on your leadership skills. Be fun too. A huge part of this is connecting. I teach connecting with kids. Disciplines, just get that out of the way and then connect, bond with them, bond with them. It's all about having fun with your kids, right? Their love language is fun, happy. Be happy, be positive. I know, sometimes I get parents as clients or clients as parents. Same thing. Anyway, and they're constantly focused on the bad behavior and correcting all the bad behavior. What a depressing household to be in. Like, you don't want to do that. You put your energy, put your focus where you want it to be, on the good kid, on the fun. Like, really work hard to put all your focus into fun with your kids and enjoying them. My teenage boy is always angry. He can't wait if we're going out. When I made his lunch, he's angry. Okay, so you got an angry teenage boy? Yeah, that sounds pretty normal. I don't know how old he is, and I don't know your relationship. I can't generalize with that because I'd need to know the history. What kind of parent are you? Why is he angry? Does he do drugs? Is he into, does he have a girlfriend? What's his social life like? How's he doing in school? What about gaming? Is he just obsessed with gaming? I need to know all that, and then we'd move forward. That's coaching. That's not a general answer. I need to assess the situation first. Do you believe screen time affects the child's behavior and cause more tantrums? Well, you could argue that till the cows come home. Nobody really knows. I think if you're a good leader for your children, nothing can really affect that. But yeah, anything in moderation is kind of fine, right? Screen time, anything else. What are your thoughts on cell phones? I think they're great. Yeah, and there is no specific age. Like, what age should kids have cell phones? I don't know. What age should teenagers have sex? I don't know. There's no set age for any of this stuff. Depends on the maturity level. Do they need a cell phone? Do you need to get a hold of them? Do you want to be able to track them? With those Find My Friend kind of stuff. Yeah, there is no. So I used to do a lot of TV back in the day when TV was a big thing. And I remember once they would have viewers call in, and someone called in. I just would have this parenting expert spot, right? And so someone called in. They said, "What age should a teenager have sex?" And I said, "Well, no one really knows. There's no set answer for that." But I said, "Here's what I told my kids. I said, you shouldn't have sex till you're 50 because hopefully I'll be dead by then." So, but anyway, there is no set age for this stuff. There's no amount of screen time that's perfect. There's nothing's perfect, right? You just got to do what feels right to you. I think my kids have probably had sex by now. They're 29 and 34. My son's a father. Chances are he's probably been sexually active. It's horrific to think about as a mother, but it's just life. Why is that so difficult? I've talked about sex with tons of kids in schools and everything. Piece of cake. My own kids. Yeah, I'm sure they're thrilled to thought about mom having it too. It's just, it's gross. Tips on leadership skills. That's all I talk about here. So just keep watching. Yeah, you can look at the link above for the free behavior board. That'll get you started. That's sort of step one with all this. Coaching, I don't always use the behavior board, especially with toddlers. We don't use it. It starts at the age of 3. But yeah, that's sort of the first step, the behavior board. It's based on the idea you get organized, you give respect to get it, because you're on there too. That's what makes it work. You got to be on there too. If you're not accountable, why should your kids be? They're watching you, right? A leader leads. A leader doesn't just say what to do. They lead. They do what they want their kids to do. Like, you lead a certain way. You're polite to them. You treat them well. They'll be polite to you. They'll treat you well. Like, I was never yelled at. I never yelled at my kids. Yeah. They tend to do what you do. And whenever I get asked toddler stuff, like they don't want to be around other toddlers, they'll outgrow all that. Don't sweat the small stuff with toddlers. They're going to go through stage after stage after stage. Where do I find the board you're talking about? That's in the link above. That's all my stuff's up there. The free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, everything is up there. By the way, pretty much every day I get an email by someone who's been scammed out of money by someone pretending to be me. That's when you do a search outside of my links. If you go to that link, that is me. But people are using my videos, my pictures, my name, my advice, everything, and they're scamming people out of money. Nothing I can do about that. They just change their websites, their names, their emails every day. So nothing I can do. That's not my thing. It's the victims, that's something they're going to call the police or whatever, but there's really nothing. Online scams are a huge thing. You're safe if you just go to all my platforms, which is Facebook. If I'm turning up for these lives, this is me. And obviously, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and where am I? TikTok. And then also my website is bratbusters.com. It's not .net, not .ca. .com, and it's Bratbusters. And so yeah, but I hate hearing about people being scammed out of money, but that's out of my control. There's nothing I can do about all those criminals out there. I can't go out and arrest all those criminals. No one can find them anyway. I see all the classes, but I don't see the board. It's in the newsletter. It's the first thing. So you go onto that link and it's the first thing that'll pop up. And it's the newsletter. And it literally says, I'm going to look at it right now. It says Bratbusters Parenting Newsletter. You'll receive free Bratbusters behavior board. And it takes about 20 minutes. So, and it's not a someone asked, is it a physical board that's going to be mailed to us? No, it's just a written, it's just instructions and a sample. One of them is the instructions. There's 2 downloads. One of them is the instructions. The other one is an example of a behavior board. Now I found it. Great. Okay. What would you do if 3-year-old sometimes tells you at school that no one wanted to play with them? Yeah, that's just part of it. That's part of life, right? Is making friends. And yeah. And the problem with school, and I told my kids this, I said, you're dealing with such a small pool when you go to school, especially when you're little. You have you're just in one class, basically. That's a very small pool to pull from with friends. It's difficult because it's hard to connect with people even when you're young. So you just got to sometimes go with the flow. They're not always going to make close friends. They just have to learn to try and join in and just, go with the flow. It's not easy. There's no perfect answer to that. You said it breaks my heart hearing that stuff. I don't know what stuff. How early can you start leadership parenting? Really when they're babies, they start to pick up on the parent who, even if they have a tantrum, they end up getting put in the car seat anyway. Even if they don't want to get in the shopping trolley, they're going to get in there anyway. That's the parent who makes things happen. They start to respect you more. But it's a slow burn. They're still going to be crazy half the time. But eventually they'll catch on that, hey, when you say something's going to happen, it's going to happen. Like when I said, okay, bath time, they would have been in the bath. Whereas their dad, it was more likely they might run around and fool around a little bit more. So they do learn from a very young age. They start to learn. And then by the time they're 3, there usually is there's usually one very clear leader in the family, the parents. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the way it is, right? There's always going to be one who's more the leader than the other. My mom was the leader. My dad was the pleaser. I was the leader. My ex-husband was the pleaser. So long as the pleaser defers to the leader and doesn't undermine them, then it works beautifully. There's nothing wrong with that. They only need one leader. It's the one that they go to and they tell everything to also. But that's the sort of more the mentor, right? That's the leader. Doesn't mean that they love you more or anything. It's just that's the one that they tend to turn to. Like I adored my father. He was definitely the pleaser, but my mom was the one I told everything to. I adored her too, but my dad was definitely the pleaser. Oh, this is so funny. Tips for making play more bearable for the parent. I like that one. Okay, well, you enter their world. I know it can be really boring, but you know what I used to do? I used to be the mountain. Like my son would be playing, he'd set up his train tracks and everything over me, and I'd lay there and have a nap while he was playing on me. This is when he was a toddler. So I would literally lay there and fall asleep, and he'd have all of his car, like all the tracks. I was like the mountain, and he'd have all the tracks all set up around. So you can just be laying there as a mountain. I just throw in the odd, oh, that's okay. Oh, really? Oh, that sounds like fun. He didn't even notice that I was sleeping. So, but then I would wake up when he would stop playing. I would wake up if I didn't feel him running trains over me or whatever, I would wake up. But I remember doing that a lot. So yeah, I would sleep during playtime. He thought that I was playing with him. Your most recent video on making mistakes hit hard with me. Oh, did I do a video on that? Making mistakes. About parents making mistakes? How normal it is? Is that what you mean? I don't do my videos, so I never know what's being posted. I don't know which one you mean. What if I can't be consistent every single time? Then lessen your rules. You got to be consistent. You have to be. So if you've got too many rules, you can't be consistent with all of them, drop some of your rules. You have to be consistent. It's extremely important. So just eliminate some rules. Yeah, don't compare me to other parenting methods, only because I don't like to criticize other parenting methods. I only teach what I know. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like one's better than the other, but I will discuss some specific things, but I don't discuss methods. The only thing I talk about is the old-fashioned authority style parenting, which is not a bad way to parent. But the kids will rebel in the teen years, but they come out the other end pretty strong, and they respect and appreciate what their parents did for them. The newfangled pleaser parent style started about 30, 40 years ago. It came out with participation awards. Stupidest thing I ever heard of. Participation award. You just turn up and you get an award. Can you imagine that? I got on a subway the other day. No one gave me an award. I turned up on the subway. No award. How stupid. Anyway, so ludicrous. And then I saw it coming in. I thought, how stupid. This is going to tank big time. And of course, you know, kids' mental health is a sign of how bad that was. Because you're raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. If you're always trying to roll out the red carpet and make life easy for them, you're raising them with no skills, none. Yeah, so it's a total disaster. That's all I talk about. I don't know any specific, like I've never looked at any other specific methods. I just talk about those big picture methods. But yeah, this newfangled, it's a total disaster. They never respect you. They rebel in the teen years. You end up yelling too. Most pleaser parents are yellers because they realize what they're doing isn't working, and then they lose it and they yell. Then they feel bad, and it's a total disaster. A lot of guilt involved in that method because it doesn't work. Participation awards help kids who are shy to get involved already. Yeah, I just have to make that very clear because a lot of people try and ask me about that. Different, and I don't discuss it. But I will tell you something funny because I'm on TikTok right now. When I first came on TikTok 2 years ago, I blew up overnight, like fast. And well, a lot of my competition, I don't see it as competition, they came after me hard. And they were doing duet videos with my video and then trashing me in the duets. I don't look at them. I don't look at anyone else, right? I don't follow anyone or anything. But other people were telling me about this. So they didn't realize this, but their followers were going over to me, and they grew my channel for me. So, and then I started feeling guilty about it because they were too dumb to realize what they were doing. So anyway, about, I don't know, 8 months in, I started saying, by the way, if you're one of those people doing duets with me, trashing me, you're growing my channel for me. And then they stopped doing it. So they had no idea what they were doing. I love karma. Isn't it just the best? So we were laughing behind the scenes here, I'll tell you. Yeah. How can they not figure that out? It's hilarious. But you know what? If you have to criticize other people, it's a way of building yourself up. So it just comes from a place of weakness and not being confident in what you're doing. So I get it, no hard feelings, but thanks for that. Okay, actually, I've got to get going. I've been on here now for an hour and a half because I go from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. That's where I save all of my lives. Thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate your support. It means a lot to me. I'm just here to serve you and hopefully make you enjoy parenting as much as I did. It was the most fun I ever had in my whole life. And anyway, so check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. I can't take everyone on with coaching because my schedule's pretty packed these days. The boot camp course is where I try and steer everyone. If you have a 3 to a 12-year-old, it's pretty inclusive. It's 5 weeks, and it teaches you. It's all about you and your leadership. Remember, we're never fixing kids. We're teaching parents here. You lead, they will follow. Okay? So thanks so much for joining me, and we'll talk again soon. Bye now.